Lisa Karajian,
Present.
Jesse Porter,
Here.
Lana Shackelford, here. Richard Niederberg. Richard, I know you're here. Can you unmute, Richard?
There he is.
Was that a yes, Richard?
He's
Unmute.
here. He's muted.
Okay. Dean Cutler,
Here.
Adele Slaughter.
Adele? Adele Slaughter?
I don't see her here as of yet.
Yeah, okay. We have a quorum, so we can continue, and I'm sure she'll join. I heard from her. There she is. You want to call out?
Adele Slaughter.
Here.
Excellent, thank you. All members of the committee are present. We have a quorum moving forward. I do not actually have any announcements or any updates, and I apologize for the floodlight above me. I don't know what's going on there. I'm in the same room, sitting in the same position at the same desk, so I don't know what's going on with it tonight. So my apologies for that. Having said that, moving forward, I don't have any reports or updates as of right now. I may towards the end of the meeting. So let's go ahead and move to public comments on non-agenda items. So any comment that you have that's not on the agenda, please raise your hand and I will go ahead and call on you. Let me just check. Okay.
Lisa, are you doing 2 minutes?
I'm
Or
not.
1 minute or a minute and a half? What do you want to do?
Oh, I want to do 1 minute public comment on non-agenda items, please. Thank you. So let's go ahead with Scott Mendel.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, everybody. My
Hi.
question involves all of the shuttered, closed businesses and all the for lease signs around Studio City. And I was wondering if you or anyone has access or knows of a database as far as the numbers and locations, how many we have in Studio City. I think that would be good, useful information to have for this committee and for, well, I certainly find it very interesting. And if there isn't one, I may just go ahead and create one anyway, and then share it with you guys if you're interested. That's all I got.
That would be great. We do not have a database with that. Lana and I usually drive up and down Ventura Boulevard, taking inventory, writing down all the information that we need to keep record of that. So if you want to go ahead and do that, please feel free to do so. And if you'd like to share it with us, we're more than happy to have a look and a listen. Thank you.
And you might want to come up with a donor owner database, because some of these stores are out of business. The
Right.
numbers aren't any good.
Right. Thank you. Rudy Melendez.
Hi, Lisa. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to say hello and ask if we are in this committee is going to be discussing the Harvard Westlake River Park in any upcoming meetings. Thank you very much.
Currently at this meeting, I do not have anything to report about Harvard Westlake. They're not on the agenda. I do not have any update or any announcement to make about them. But in the future, moving forward, might possibly be here in the next couple of months, or they may not. So we'll see. Thank you for that. Moving on to, do I have any other hands raised? Public comments on non-agenda items. Patty Kirby, unmute yourself.
Sorry, I just wanted to keep front and center the LA City Southeastern Plan zoning potential changes. And we had FCRA's meeting last night, which was interesting. And I just wanted to just bring it up as potential letter coming out from the Land Use Committee in the future.
Okay. Did you want to take a minute and give us an update as to what went on at the meeting last night?
Actually, nothing was really updated. It was just a review of the same information we had from 2018.
That's right.
Yeah, but that they are working on it. They are concentrating on density.
Right.
That's my take. Barry probably could report better. But I'm just worried about the single family residence situation. So I want to stay on top of it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Patty. If I may make an announcement, just so you know that this is being recorded. And also, if you could mute yourself if you are not speaking, that would really help us out with background noise and chatter that goes on that interferes with the meeting. So thank you, appreciate that. Barry Johnson.
Yes, I was just going to say for Patty's clarification that any letters or motions would come from the board and not a committee. But there are several of us definitely following Patty's and Connie's situations from their neighborhoods. And we do have Paul Krikorian having said a year and a half ago, not on my watch, for Connie's neighborhood by the metro station. So we're trying to get him to say the same thing for Patty's neighborhood. Working on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a hand raised from number 561, ending in 713. You could, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Hi, this is your roofless neighbor, Ruth. I just
Hello.
wanted to comment on, hi there. I want to comment on Project Room Key. I was hoping that the Project Room Key at the Sportsman's Lodge would be extending so that the 150 guests that are still there that are still unvaccinated do not be hitting the streets in Ventura Boulevard, and hopefully they'll be meaningfully housed and the FEMA money will be taken fully advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you. As of right now, I don't have an answer to you about extending Project Room Key. I have not had a conversation with Ben Besley about it, so I don't have a definitive answer for you. I'm so sorry. Anyone else? Okay, that's it for public comment. I'm closing the public comment portion of the meeting. Moving to any responses from any committee members to any questions that were asked? Jesse, Lana, Richard, Adele, Dean? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on to number 5, discussion in regard to the county park and ride lot. Stakeholder attendance and participation is very much encouraged. I hope we have many stakeholders here listening and wanting to ask questions. The address is 10801 Ventura Boulevard, Studio City, California, 91604. We have Jessica Oriana from Sheila Kuehl's office. She is the field deputy with Supervisor Sheila Kuehl. And she also has brought with her Lorraine Diaz. So I'm going to ask Jessica to unmute yourself. And if Lorraine is present, to unmute herself also. Go ahead, Jessica.
Hi, good evening, everyone. As Lisa shared, my name is Jessica Orellana. I'm overseeing the parking lot that she just mentioned. So I am here to answer any questions that you have. As of right now, that lot is owned by our Department of Public Works. We have till date, we've had 2 cleanups of the lot inside the lot, which is county property. And I am currently working on scheduling another cleanup. And this one hopefully will be a joint cleanup with my other colleagues in our other government entities. And I know that there's several questions regarding the lot. My office has received multiple emails and phone calls, so I'm here to answer hopefully the questions that you have today.
Excellent. Is Lorraine present? Do you know, Jessica?
She was having difficulties with her computer. She should be logging in hopefully soon, but she did email me to notify me that she was having issues.
Okay.
It does show as a participant.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, I am here. This is Lorraine Diaz. I'm District Director for Councilmember Paul Krikorian. I am having laptop issues. I think they should be resolved shortly. I'm going to try to use the Wi-Fi. So I can't turn on my camera right now, but I should be able to pretty soon. But I am here to answer questions in regards to future plans for that lot. I know that Jessica will be handling any questions about what is currently happening on that lot, since it's currently under county control.
Okay, so our number one concern is all the RVs that are parked there, the homelessness that have taken residence in the lot, and the just the ongoing just trash that is being strewn all over the parking lot that doesn't get cleaned up on a regular basis. So we have trash bins that are overflowing. We've had winds in the past several weeks that have thrown trash around everywhere. It's just overflowing all over the sidewalk, all over the streets, all over the parking lot. There are so many people there that are just setting up home with their tents and their cars and their RVs. So we just want to figure out how to go about getting a cleanup situation going on a regular basis there. If we're not able to house these stakeholders that are taking up residence in the parking lot, how can we help them? What are we doing? What's going on? So go ahead and take it from there.
Let me share a little bit what's going on right now. So I have been working as I get requests from the community and cleaning the lot. I am scheduled to hopefully secure another cleanup with the state, city entities as well. I sent out an email in hopes that we can put something together. So I am waiting to hear back from my colleagues regarding a joint cleanup for the lot, so we can take care of not just the inside of the lot, but also the outside and also the state portion of it. We're also working with Kevin Duffner. He's a neighborhood prosecutor. Yes. We're also working with him to see if there's any enforcement that can be done inside the lot. As you know, at this time, we could only perform debris cleanups, just pickup of the trash. We cannot remove the individuals there due to CDC regulations and sheltering in place because of COVID. So we are limited on the cleanups that we can do. We're doing everything we can on our side to maintain the area clean. Again, I became involved with this situation in January, and to date, I've coordinated 2 cleanups, and I plan on coordinating additional ones to hopefully alleviate the issue with the trash. But as long as we have our encampments in there and our RVs, I know we're going to continue to have the issue with the trash.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question that I'm sure everyone is thinking. So we appreciate you coming on since January and organizing 2 cleanups thus far. Just wondering, how do we get on a regular schedule with that so that there is no such like extraordinary blight as people are driving by or walking by. At this point, it is a massive public safety hazard because it's an issue that people are running into when they're walking by. There are syringes on the sidewalk. As a matter of fact, I have some pictures of some that have been sent to me that my husband actually took one the other day, 5 syringes thrown onto the sidewalk. So there's a lot going on in terms of drug dealing that I've seen with my own eyes. Just making our neighborhood a really unsafe situation. And I don't know how to go about to make sure that your office, council member's office, everyone understands that people are not satisfied with what we are being handed out from your office in particular, because it is a county lot. So I don't think it's too much to ask for cleanup more than just twice since January. However, I do appreciate what you've done so far, but I do want to get us on a regular schedule of cleanup. What is standing in the way of that?
So I've had conversations with our Department of Public Works. So I know I did mention the 2 cleanups, and we continue to have those conversations. So please know that I am working on it. I continue to work on the lot, and I am working with the department to see if we can schedule some sort of, calendar cleanups more than just twice or once a month. So I am working on it. As I progress, I will inform you of updates.
Okay. I have a question. I'm going to take some questions. Is that okay, Jessica?
Of course, yes.
All right. Randy Freed.
Hi, thank you for joining us tonight. I guess I just want to put more fine of a tip. Whatever department it is within the county, there are human beings that are living in a lot that are living amongst their own trash because it's not being cleaned up. When I was in touch with Jessica Fuge from Krikorian's office, there was an issue about who was going to pay for sanitation to make up weekly pickups of the bins that are there. I was told that the county didn't want to pay for it, and there was a debate about which department. Meanwhile, it's not just trash that represents a biohazard. It's for everyone. There is hands down, no question, a criminal element that is also active in this space. As we know, there have been shootings in that lot. I think the last one over a dispute of a $20 bag of weed. So respectfully, the answer to say that we're working on it and we're going to get back to you, dare I say, is not acceptable. There are people in that, there are human beings in that lot that are in jeopardy by a lack of concern, as well as the greater community. My understanding is Krikorian's office has been hitting, is not getting the follow through from the county. So I would just echo my question, I guess, after saying all that, would be, who do we have to write? I mean, where is the county supervisor on this and helping alleviate and help those most vulnerable that are in the lot and the surrounding community?
So Randy, I'm not sure what you mean by Councilmember Krikorian's office not, getting a reply back from our office. We've been working together with his office, and all the concerns I've been getting from the community get this lot clean. And I understand it's a very difficult times, not just in the lot, but all over LA County and the city of Los Angeles when it comes to our homeless individuals. And I believe that and we all can see it, that with COVID, it just increased the issue of it, especially when we're unable to remove some of the encampments that we have in place. We do have outreach that goes out to the lot for those folks so they can receive services or hopefully go into housing. There is that element into it. And I understand that you're not happy with the portion of, we're working on it, but I am working on this lot. I became involved with the lot in January. And prior to that, I'm not sure what the situation was with this lot, but I can tell you that I know that there was a Goodwill bin and a Dare bin there in the lot that was creating additional trash. Those 2 items have been removed. And as I mentioned, I'm working on joint cleanup with other entities. And I will continue to work on cleaning the lot and hopefully getting something scheduled on a more routine base.
Right. So just so you know, what was going on at that lot before you came on board in January. So I took out my notes from 2015. This photograph is from 2016. And my notes say LA Public Works for Ventura Park and Ride Lot, Jesus, Diana, Renato, Andy Gump, United Toilets, Waste Management, bin dumpsters. So we've been at this for quite a while, trying to get some kind of relief in that lot, and for people to pay attention to this lot from Sheila Kuehl's office, and for there to be some action taken on a regular basis. For these notes to be present in my notebook since 2015, we're going on almost 6 years that I've been chasing this proposal of getting someone to take us seriously. Let me go to the next question. Connie Elliott, unmute yourself, please.
Hello. It is my understanding that you and Krikorian's office are working on making half of that park and ride lot a parking area for people living in their cars. I do want to let all of you know, I live near South Weddington Park, and we share a mutual drug dealer. We have a 21 tent homeless colony across from the park next to Metro Rail parking lot. And Vice is aware of the man in the van. We have his license plate number. He comes and sells drugs to our 21 tents, and he also sells drugs at the park and ride lot. So Jessica Fugate has emailed me that there will be security there. I certainly hope so, or all the people living in their cars will then have easier access to drugs also, and we'll have them driving around Studio City. Thank you.
Connie, if you can get me that information, if you can email that to me, I'll go ahead and forward it to Kevin Duffner.
Well, okay. We found this out through a meeting of the BID, the Business Improvement District. Evidently it was discussed, and Jessica Orellana was mentioned as the one that was coordinating that. And Jessica was the one in Krikorian's office. I don't think I know your email address, but I can get it from Barry, I guess, or somebody.
Yes, it's on our website also.
Okay,
it's my first initial, L Karajian, KARADJIAN at studiocitync.org.
Will do, yes. I think at one time, Jessica, you were also thinking of making it a home, build homes there or something. However, Universal Studios has long-term plans in their 25-year plan of connecting the freeways at that point and using part of that land. So I don't think anything permanent can be done, but hopefully if you are using it for people living in their cars, it will only be when the Hollywood Bowl is not in season.
Connie, just this is Jessica Orellana. Just to clarify, I was not part of the meeting that you're referring to. I think you're confusing me with Jessica Fugate with Councilmember Krikorian's office.
No, I've known Jessica Fugate for several years. I was just told that you were the one in the county office that had talked about doing that, but maybe whoever gave me the information got the wrong impression at the bid meeting, but they had actually attended the bid meeting, which is where we first learned of it. But it's county property, so somebody in your office must be working with Jessica Fugate if there's going to be a parking lot for people living in their cars, wouldn't they?
Right. So yes, we are working with the office. It is a county lot, and we are supporting the project, but it's a project led by Councilmember Krikorian's office.
And with that, I'll move to Lorraine Diaz. Lorraine, if you want to unmute yourself. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for bearing with me while I get my technical issues out of the way. So I guess you'd like me to address Connie's question about the park and ride lot and what the city has planned
Just
for it.
give us an update with what's going on with your office and the park and ride lot and the partnership that's being formed with Sheila Kuehl's office.
Okay, so you know, Jessica and I, Jessica Oriana from Sheila Kuehl's office have worked together for many years. This isn't the first time we've collaborated, you know, either on issues affecting people experiencing homelessness or on, you know, other things. But for this particular lot, our office has been involved for quite a while. Jessica Fugate, it's confusing because there's two Jessicas, right? Theirs and ours. Jessica Fugate's been working on this parking lot with all of you for quite some time. As part of that coordination, we've been having LA Sanitation go out regularly to clean, you know, the city's portion of it. We've connected with Caltrans to get them to try to do their part. We even connected with Metro, thinking that this was part of their lot. It turns out they do not have a lease on this particular lot. The Hollywood Bowl has an agreement, but that's not happening right now, as many of you know. So what we've been doing is coordinating with the county to try to get dumpsters put in. And, you know, as Randy mentioned, there was some disagreement about whether or not the county would pay for those dumpsters. LA City Sanitation would not pay for the regular dumping of the dumpsters on county land. That's, you know, it would be akin to us paying for trash service on a private property, you know, property we do not own. So we've been coordinating with Sheila Kuehl's office to try to get more attention to this lot. Unfortunately, we keep hearing, you know, what you also have heard, that their resources are limited because this, unfortunately, this is not an isolated situation. This is happening all over Los Angeles, especially during COVID, because so many of the rules or guidelines have been relaxed in order to, you know, for people's safety, you know, theirs and ours, in that we don't want people to be having to leave their tents or leave their vehicles or whatever it is if they're experiencing COVID, and then, you know, push that out into the community, or we don't want to expose them to COVID. So, you know, very well-intentioned ordinances that were relaxed, but unfortunately it's led to a lot of buildup of trash. Jessica mentioned that there used to be a Goodwill donation center. I imagine that that's why, even after the county has gone in and done these 2 cleanups, the very next day when we go, and the council member's driven by, and he's seen, you know, he wants to go see how the cleanup went. Does it make a difference? And he goes and it looks exactly the same. So we've even requested photographs from Public Works, County Public Works, you know, just to prove that they did the cleanup. I think the second time we actually had LAPD go out there and meet them. And the problem is that because there are so many people living in the lot, and additionally, you know, neighbors, or maybe not even neighbors, people just off the freeway, that decide this is a good place to dump things, or maybe it used to be where I would offload my items to donate that I don't want anymore, they're still leaving them there. So and that second cleanup, and I think after the first cleanup too, the very next day it looked almost identical to prior to when they had cleaned it up, because it's just such a large amount of garbage. So that being said, the city of Los Angeles, because we too have been dealing with this since at least 2015 and trying to find a way to address, you know, all different facets of homelessness, but in particular this location, and why people keep returning. And it's not always the same people. So I know that over the summer, when we still had the LAPD Hope team that has now been disbanded, they worked to get some of the people who were living in the parking lot into our bridge housing facility on Raymer. Some of them were moved into our Project Room Key location, and then some of them just left, you know, after repeated visits by LASA Outreach and LAPD, and, you know, just kind of a more, I don't want to say enforcement, but just more attention to the lot was given at the beginning of the summer, like around July or so, July and August. And it did clear out for the most part. I think we spent about a month where there was not really anyone there in vehicles. There were people living in tents, but they had moved up to the Caltrans side. We also are working remotely, you know, Jessica as well. We're all working remotely, so we don't get out to the parking lot as often as we were we in the office. We don't get out there, you know, on a weekly or, you know, several times a week basis. So we became aware that it was a problem again, you know, later in fall, that it was starting to become occupied. And we reached out again to the county office, and we've continued those discussions. But anyway, the point is that it's an ongoing problem, and we tried to figure out a solution. And obviously getting regular cleanups from the county aren't feasible right now due to, resources, limited resources and budget shortfalls. So what we looked at instead was how can we help the people who are living there already? We run an RV pilot up in Sun Valley. We've been running it for about a year, where we pump out septic tanks and we pick up the garbage of people who are living in their vehicles in this, section of Sun Valley. This has been challenging because during COVID, we can't pick up as many things as we normally would. There are things that if people tell us it's their personal items, even if it looks like trash to you and I, if they say it's their personal items, we still can't touch it. However, by bringing them weekly service, it has improved their quality of life, and it has created, a better situation for public health and, theirs and ours. And so we thought, okay, let's do something similar here. Let's see if we can bring them some cleaning service here. We ran into the bin issue that we discussed earlier. And then the conversation kind of turned to, what if we made this a safe parking lot where we could better manage the people who are there? We could, people would have to be approved to enter the program. So it would not be a free for all. They would have to be working with a service provider and with a case manager, similar to successful programs in Santa Barbara or even here in Los Angeles. We previously ran a safe parking lot in conjunction with the county in North Hollywood near our office that was later closed due to construction of the parking lot. But that program was successful in that we were able to house, or we were able to safely provide, or we were able to provide a safe place for people to sleep in their vehicles for, a set amount of time until they were able to transition on to either interim housing or more permanent stable housing. So for this parking lot, we, Jessica very kindly connected us with the powers that be at county, and County Public Works has agreed to allow us to use, it's not 50% of the lot, it's 25% of the lot. So it's just a little piece, just a little piece. It's actually 50 spots. The entire lot has 200 spots. They're going to let us borrow 50 parking spots. Of those 50 parking spots, because the way safe parking works is we want to give them a little bit of buffer of privacy and space. So we can only use 25 spots for vehicles. There has to be a buffer in between. So the maximum capacity of our safe parking program at this site will be 25 vehicles. That being said, the rest of the parking lot will still be under county control, still be their responsibility. They will still have to manage all of the trash and parking issues on that 75% of the lot that they chose not to lease to us. In our portion of the lot, we will fence it. We will have security and restrooms, a hygiene trailer, case management for the people who are participating in the program. The county has also agreed to put in T-bar gates at the entrances to the parking lot so that the gates can be closed at night. And I think right now that's not currently possible, or they might have, going off my memory here, which isn't so great, but I believe they have one gate and then the other driveway doesn't have a gate, but they will both have a T-bar gate. So not a huge gate, but just the little one that doesn't let you drive in. And our security, or the safe parking lot security, will be able to go and close the gate at a certain hour nightly, which will help both sides of the parking lot, our safe parking lot and the county controlled part of it, in that there won't be this massive, free for all of people just coming and going at all hours. We don't have, I'm trying to think of what questions you guys might have. We don't have a service provider in place. We anticipate opening this safe parking lot sometime over the summer. Connie, you mentioned that Universal has plans for this area. They do. And so because of this, our parking lot will only be open for 1 year from when we open. So if we open in June of 2021, by June of 2022, the program will be done. And there will be no infrastructure or construction that is done, other than the installation of the gates and fencing that we described. So it'll be, and I don't want to say easy, but it'll be a cost-effective way of helping people who are living in their vehicles during a pandemic and providing them with, basic hygiene and access to resources that will get them into more stable housing.
So Lorraine, are you saying that 25% of the lot will be a safe parking lot with all the amenities? And then the rest of it is going to remain empty because there's going to be fencing that is going to be installed on the entire Ventura Boulevard and the driveways that faces out. So I'm not clear as to how.
So, you know, unfortunately, I don't have a layout of the parking lot with me, but you know, if you kind of pretended it was 4 of these little Zoom squares, you know, we're going to get 1 little Zoom square and we will fence off our little Zoom square. We're not going to fence the entire parking lot, because the reason they're not giving us the other 75% of the lot is that they want it to be accessible to people who are using the park and ride, people who want to carpool and park near the freeway. So we did ask for the entire lot, especially because during COVID, it's not really getting used by anyone who it was intended, you know, not for the commuters that it was intended to provide a service to. So we asked for 100% of the lot, we got 25%. So, you know, it's better than nothing, but it would have been nice to be able to control the whole lot, because we would have had more control over the garbage. We would have brought in our own trash bins and things like that. You know, the county has asked that we make the trash bins that we install for the safe parking lot accessible for everyone. And so that way, in case anyone does stay in the county side, they can throw their things away. But for, you know, for us, it seems a little more, excuse me, I need to sneeze.
Unmute.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't want you guys to, I don't want to sneeze all over you. So for us, it just seems like it would be better to not, we don't want to have this free for all where the bins are open to everyone, anyone can throw their trash in, because then we will continue to have the same problem, you know, except 25% of the lot will be clean and managed, and the other 75% will be, you know, people doing their own thing, kind of like they are now. So by keeping the trash bins only for the people participating in the safe parking lot, we're trying to create a deterrent for people creating this unlicensed safe parking on the other part of the lot. We're also hoping that by having this constant presence of security and people who are actively participating in a safe parking program, that will deter the other activity that is happening because people want to be where they're not really seen. What you mentioned, Connie, about, you know, the drug dealer in the van across the freeway over on Bluffside and things like that. Jessica Fugate will be following up with that to make sure that Kevin Duffner receives that complaint. So, because that, you know, a lot of times when we look at why large encampments set up in certain areas, we look at environment, you know, what is keeping them there? Access to resources is usually what it is, you know, whether those resources be food or water or, you know, drugs, or even sometimes it's, you know, my grandma lives down the street. The resources are different for everyone. But in this case, this could be, especially because we have so many crime issues related to this site, this could be one of the things that's attracting people here.
Lisa, by the way, Jessica Fugate is now in the meeting. If you
I did see that. Thank you.
You wanted to ask her directly.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no, so I mentioned it because I did see her come in. So her and I will connect offline to make sure that we speak to Kevin Duffner about what Vice has found about this particular van. So if you have the license plate, if you can send that over to Jessica, that would be great.
I will get it from my neighbor. I don't know it, but I have neighbors that are constantly up. I think it's dangerous for them, but they've been up there. They've taken down license plate numbers, and Kevin Duffner does know about our situation. We have tried very hard to get this colony moved because they're starting to come into our little 70 home neighborhood. We had the helicopters out night before last because he was breaking into homes and stealing mail. And so, but we haven't had any luck. But I like your idea. I don't know why the county won't let you have the whole lot for a year. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure why either, but you know, we are negotiating a lease, and they have said that they will give us just that 25%. So
All right, well,
have that lease in place and the service provider.
Lorraine, let's ask Jessica. She's still here. I don't see her.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can you answer to that?
I actually don't have an answer to that. I know that Lorraine did mention earlier that our Department of Public Works wanted to make sure that the lot was available for the riders. I don't have additional information regarding that, unfortunately.
I am going to ask, and then it's going to go into a demand mode, that we increase the amount of dumpsters that are in that lot. This has to happen. I'm not going to take no for an answer. And any which way that I can make this happen, I want to make it happen. Jessica, you have to hear what we are asking of you. We need more dumpsters in that lot. And also, my next question is, what is happening with the money that comes in through Sheila Kuehl's office? I understand we're short on resources, but why? Where is the budget and where's the line item that's allocated to this lot? I'm just curious as to know. It's an easy answer with, we're short on resources. Okay, moving on, but I just want to know, why is that? Where is that money? Where does it go?
Lisa, there's never an easy answer when it comes to budget questions. And especially, and I don't know what was at this lot prior to me becoming involved, but what I can tell you now is resources all over the county when it comes to encampment, debris cleanup, county lots, washes, you name it. We're doing everything we can to clean the lots as requested or as many times as possible. So I know you are demanding some trash bins, you're demanding extra cleanup dates, and I'll take all of this back to my team and let them know the situation. We have been receiving the emails and the phone calls to our office. So we are aware of the situation with the lot. And this is why I keep pushing for more cleanups. This is why I keep having conversations with my public works department. I understand the frustration. I've had the opportunity to drive through the lot once in February, and I saw the situation. I can't promise you anything at this time, but I can tell you that I will inform this to my team, and I will inform them of the demands that Studio City has for this lot.
We really appreciate that, and we really appreciate you hanging in there with us. As you said, we are very frustrated. I'm going to go on to a next question. We're going to speed through this just so we can let her go. Adele Slaughter, go ahead.
Hi. I actually weekly I have to drive someone downtown, and I come back along 101 on the Cahuenga Pass, and I see the lot from the 101, and it is alarming how much trash. I mean, it looks like India, not a place I've been many times. It looks alarming. And what I want to know is, I also went and found the little tiny homes on
Chandler.
And, what I noticed, because I drove around a few times to look at it, they have a little booth with someone who sits there. And I think
right.
The people are monitored in and out. And, I just don't understand why we're not, this is really a huge problem. It's not a little encampment. It's big and it's dangerous, and people have been shot and bad things have happened there, and they are happening repeatedly, and it's scaring the neighbors, obviously. And, it doesn't sound like anyone is like addressing it in a real way. I think, yes, making it into a safe car lot is possibly a good idea, but you'd need to have it monitored. And so people wouldn't, because right now it's a disaster, and it's a bad disaster. It's a big parking lot. And I'll tell you what it was before it was this. It was a place where people went to park their cars and get in a bus and go up to Hollywood Bowl. And it was busy all the time. And there was no opportunity for homeless people to be there. And right now it's a huge encampment, and it has got to be dangerous health-wise. And we know it's dangerous with crime. And I just don't understand what where is the organization to really confront and deal with something that's quite dangerous. And, because, Universal doesn't want this and this one doesn't want that. And why can't we get them all together and really address it? And I think the idea of a safe parking lot for the whole lot would be the solution, and then have the security guard and only allow people, who are in the program to go in there. I mean, because otherwise you're chasing all the solutions you've given us so far are just chasing bad after bad. It's not going to change the situation. You're going to have to really, do something like PK, I always call him that, Paul Krikorian likes to do, some big program where he really takes charge of what's going on there. That has to happen.
All right,
Anyway.
thank you. We're going to limit public comment on this questions to 1 minute, 1.5 minutes.
Actually, sorry, can I address?
Yes, of course.
Comment? Thank you for that. So I'm glad you got over to see our tiny homes. We'll be doing tours of our second site in about a month. So I invite all of you to come then in April. However, I do want to clarify that this location was heavily outreach to for both Project Roomkey and for our tiny home village at Chandler. So the people who are staying in this location, almost all of them, I want to say with the exception of no one, unless they've more recently arrived after, we did the outreach for Chandler, they were offered some other alternative. So the people who are here they've already turned down other housing. We have sent outreach here numerous times, and Jessica said that they have as well. So as far as our safe parking lot, I also want to clarify that the safe parking lot is for voluntary participants. They wouldn't necessarily be the people who are there now. Again, when we prior to opening our safe parking lot, we do tremendous outreach. We send lots of outreach workers out, and LA Family Housing outreach workers out, and NoHo Home Alliance has their own outreach team. And we send workers out to invite people to participate in our program. And if they are willing, then they're enrolled and they're kind of given the guidelines and that this is how it works. And, these are what the rules are. And if they don't want to be part of this program, we don't have the mechanism to do enforcement in a county parking lot, but we are working in coordination with county that, they will do some sort of towing or whatnot when they're able to do that. But right now, we can't just tow them away. First of all, because it's not our parking lot. And then second of all, because during COVID, I believe the county has the same policy as the city does, that we are not towing vehicles that are occupied, that are being used as dwelling. So we do have, so actually your question was about why they can't use the whole parking lot. So I think the intention was, and when we went into this conversation about the lease and how long we can have it and how many parking spaces, we were working with a lot of variables, unknown variables, kind of like now I feel like we have a better grasp on when we may possibly be out of COVID. Back then in October, when we first started this discussion, there was no end in sight. There was no vaccine. There was none of anything. So they loaned it to us, or they agreed to let us borrow part of it with the assumption that we would be out of COVID soon and the Hollywood Bowl would be up and running. And they didn't want to have the entire lot tied up, as safe parking when they needed it again as the Hollywood Bowl. As time went on, and as we've, already worked through the lease as a 50 spot parking lot, just 25%, we've seen that it's unlikely that large concerts like that will be happening anytime soon. So while I would love to have the entire parking lot, I believe that the intention wasn't to keep it from us. The intention was to allow commuters and people using the Hollywood Bowl to still be able to have that for this summer.
All right, thank you. Ira Gold, and then we'll go to David and then Barry Johnson.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi. Okay, so a couple questions. Actually, first, Lorraine, I think I'd just like to pose that the resources that they have there, the reason why I think they might be staying there is, first of all, the 7-Elevens there. There's lots of nooks and crannies around where they can just pretty much just exist unencumbered. I walk that area 4 or 5 times a week. And so there's lots of places where people can just go and spread out and branch out, lots of abandoned couches that people are constantly putting out. So I would argue that plus the wash. So I would argue that those are some of the most valuable resources to people who arguably may just want to be left alone. It's the perfect environment, excuse me, for that. So 2 questions. A lot of those inhabitants spend their days kind of on Bluffside or on Arch, and oftentimes without masks. And I know we have a lot of those inhabitants might have some mental issues or issues where they would be spitting or cursing or just spreading potential COVID, potential anything. Oftentimes I see them without masks. So Jessica, with the, was that?
Could
I
you
was just
wrap
saying,
that?
wrap it up. It's your 1 minute.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Jessica, with the outreach you mentioned, are masks being provided? And also, could we also coordinate city and county to clean up the stretch from Vineland Ventura to the lot? Because a lot of that trash, including multiple syringes, I almost stepped on one, are spilling over into that area. Thank you.
Hi, Ira. So yes, that is the goal for us to put together and coordinate a cleanup. I did put together an email to my colleagues at the city and at the state government offices. So that is the goal for us to do a coordinate a cleanup. Also, when the outreach workers do come out to, offer services, yes, they provide masks, water to the individuals.
Thank you. Moving to David.
Hi, thanks. My name is David Zakon. I live on Willowcrest Avenue, kind of on the other side of Sun Cafe from the lot. So our neighborhood's fairly close to it. I appreciate all the information you guys are giving us, and it's good to know that you guys have done outreach to these folks for a safe home, Project Room Key and the others. But we know that these folks who are there right now are not people who are going to be housed or looking for housing. It's a pretty druggy area. I've gone down there a couple of times, last summer, a few times to bring bottles of water when it was very hot. And it was a nicer environment last summer, but still a number of people thought that I was there to buy drugs from them and were selling to me. So it's a druggy lot. I'm wondering, since these are folks who are not looking to transition into safer housing, is it possible to have if it's a county property, can a sheriff be stationed there in a police car and sit there to just prevent drug activity and arrest people if there's drug activity going on?
Your time has expired.
I'll mute myself now.
Thank you. Lorraine, Jessica, do either of you want to answer that? You have to unmute.
Well,
David.
Yeah, go for it, Jessica.
David, just to add regarding the portion of the sheriffs, and it becomes a little tricky because the lot is county, but once you walk out of the lot, it becomes city of LA. So it becomes a little tricky to have a sheriff sit there. Once the individual step out of the lot, it's no longer county sheriff's jurisdiction, which they cannot make an arrest. So it does become a little tricky, but do know that we are working with a neighborhood prosecutor. And I think I did mention this earlier. And Kevin Duffner has been mentioned several times during this call. We do have a phone call tomorrow with him to see how we can discuss, how do you say this? We can discuss enforcing some of the rules in the parking lot.
Thank you. Barry Johnson.
Hi, thank you. A week ago, it looked like the Hollywood Bowl was not going to have a 2021 season. 5 days ago, the governor said the Hollywood Bowl and Dodger Stadium could open at certain percentages of capacities. I know someone who works at the Hollywood Bowl. They're seriously looking at doing something this summer. And I can tell you this as somebody who worked there eons ago in college. Even on nights where the Hollywood Bowl has 25% capacity, that lot fills up. because people don't want to drive and park at the bowl. So I think you better take a second look at your lease negotiation and get in touch with the bowl, because if they're planning anything this summer, that lot will be full, even if they're doing concerts at 25%. The other thing is, if they happen to decide not to do concerts this summer, they start up in April. So in April of 22, they're going to be doing rock concerts, and then that lot is definitely full. So you're not going to be able to do a lease until June of 22. So just some food for thought on your lease and regarding the Hollywood Bowl. Thank you.
Thank you. Lana, unmute yourself, yeah?
Yes, hi, thank you. I had a couple ideas that have come to mind. I really appreciate learning about the fact that any of the folks who would participate in this program would be registered. Is that correct? Would they have any kind of decal or something that they would display? I mean, these are going to be stationary. They're not going to be vehicles that move in and out, correct? In addition, as far as a monitored patrol, is there any thought to having cameras as a security patrol? And when you talk about security, is it going to be 24-hour security? In what to Jessica, our field deputy from Sheila Kuehl's office, what does regularly mean? Is that once a day, once a week, when the trash pickup is? And finally, I would like to ask for a formal document with dates of this scheduled work and any implementation of the other programs that are going to go into effect. I would like for that to be on our website. I'd like a copy of these rules and these regulations that the participants will need to adhere to so that our community can be informed. All of this is a little bit nebulous right now, and we keep hearing that there's work, and we know that that is a slow moving process because this is a huge thing to tackle. So if we could just get some concrete dates of things that would be implemented, we'd appreciate that, and knowing how we could support it and follow up and share that information with our neighbors. And let's see, okay, one last thought is there any way to petition the city for that property to be ceded? I mean, petition the county for that property to be ceded to the city?
Thank
Might
you.
be crazy, but thanks.
Lana, just to touch base on your question regarding regular. So I know I did mention earlier that there's no regular cleanup of the slot right now. What we've been doing is we've been doing cleanups based on the information we receive from the community. So at this time, I don't have dates or answers for you regarding our regular schedule, but I did share earlier that I'm going to share this information and everything from this meeting today with my team. And I know you don't want to hear this, but I'll definitely update all of you guys once I report back to Public Works.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and one final little thing. Whenever I've called from Studio City, I've always been referred to Moses in the office. So I don't know how or why I keep being sent to him in regards to this complaint, but just so you know.
Yes, Moses is our field deputy / caseworker. So he does a lot of the casework or phone calls that come in. That's why you're being referred to him. But he does forward the information to me. So I am aware when people call or send in messages.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you, Lana. Jessica, I am going to put you back on our agenda 3 months from now. So you can give us an update then. So moving on. Yes, Lorraine.
Sorry, can I address her other parts of the city related ones?
Yes, of course.
As far as how the site will operate. So
Yes.
security will be, a person. Security will be a person. It won't be, an alarm system or cameras, just because this is a temporary site and we're not bringing in a whole lot of infrastructure, which is one of the things that's going to allow us to open it quickly and then shut it down quickly within a year. To answer Barry's question, yes, they took those considerations into account by only giving us the June to June contract and only giving us the 50 spots. As far as giving you details on how, what the regulations will be for participants, we don't have that yet because a service provider hasn't been selected. Once we have a service provider in place, we kind of work with them to kind of come up with the regulations. But generally how it works is that only participants are allowed in or out of the gated part of the parking lot. They do have to have a placard that they display on their windshield to come in or out. Whether they can be, vehicles that run or not run, it depends on whether this site will be a 24-hour site. If it's a 24-hour site, meaning they don't have to leave, then they would have 24-hour security. If it's a site where they come and go, in the evenings and then, come back in the evenings and then leave in the morning, then the site would be, the gates would be locked in the daytime so that people don't come and use those spots for commuters or something like that.
Thank you. Ruth, you have to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you. I have a quick question. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. Is this technically a public lot or is this like private?
This is a public parking lot owned by the county.
Thank you so much for answering that question. Okay, so I am actually homeless in Studio City and I'm high risk medically. So I'm not going to say where I am, but I'm social distancing in public in Studio City. And the thought that you guys are like plotting to like arrest people or, like basically like displace them again or have them arrested and go to jail where they could get COVID, that's crazy. Like, I wish that you guys had this motivation to get them vaccinated or to get them housed because you guys obviously have like a lot of energy to put into this. There's Project Room Key funds on the table that are not being taken advantage of. You could put all these people in the Sportsman's Lodge and like they would not be seen or heard from until September 31st. Like, hopefully they'll get housed after that. And they'll...
Thank you so much, Ruth. Rudy Melendez.
Thank you, Lisa. Good evening. Well, it's pretty clear that the city and county has a history of working very poorly with one another. And this lot is a great example of their working relationship. First of all, we have piles of trash on county property at the mouth of the Tujunga Wash, right near Moore Park Boulevard, near an elementary school. The county can't even bother to clean that up. They can't even maintain this parking lot with a trash can. It's ridiculous and embarrassing for Miss Oriana to suggest that they don't have the resources. The county has a shit ton of money. They have so much money. They don't even know what to do with it. Now they have $1 billion that they took away from public safety to do stuff with. And you're telling me you can't even clean up the parking lot? You should be embarrassed, Jessica. You've only been there twice to see it. It's not, you guys are being reactionary. You need to be proactive. If anyone takes anything away from this meeting tonight, you should vote Sheila Kuehl out in 2022. She's horrible.
Time has expired.
Thank you. Richard Niederberg, unmute yourself, please.
Okay. I've looked around there several times, and it seems that even though the Acoma Park is not suitable, and Campo de Cuenca certainly wouldn't work. I know, but there's also Paseo de Cuenca, which is on Ventura Boulevard, east of the current place. If the people who are not in vehicles want a place to be, nobody else seems to be there, including homeless, including picnickers, including anybody at Paseo de Cuenca, which is on Ventura Boulevard, just east of that location. I'm also wondering, is there another way of dealing with this? Seems like a lot of the vehicle traffic is incompatible with the people setting up tents. Seems like the accident waiting for a place to happen the way it's laid out right now. Does anybody have an answer for that? City or county?
Repeat that question, Richard.
Yes, please.
Paseo de Cuenca available for the purpose, not Campo, Paseo de Cahuenga, which is just east of Lancashire and Ventura.
Could you be more descriptive of the location for everyone here, Richard?
Okay, if you head along, if you're on Ventura Boulevard and Lancashire, just head east, and all of a sudden a park appears. And it's very nice. We used it for National Night Out 2 years ago, and it worked just fine. And it seems like it's not going to bother any neighbors because there's nobody lives on that side of the street. You know, and yes, it does back up to the freeway, but hey, you can't have everything. It seems like it'd be a good place for people that would not want to get away from the cars. Thank you. Anybody have an answer?
So are you suggesting that the people living in this parking lot get moved to that park?
The people that are on foot would. The cars could stay where they want to be, which, by the way, the people who rent a lot as a base station for making movies, you know, they're pretty tough. They take up every possible space unless Film LA stops them from doing so. The production companies take up the entire lot. And I've tried many times just to use the red line, and no, they have the whole lot sometimes.
Okay, well, that park, there are already homeless people living between the trees and the wall of the freeway.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of kids that play in that park. So to move anybody there would not be a very good idea.
Okay. I'm just trying to have some way for safety.
Right. At least this parking lot faces the public storage and a hotel and the Sun Cafe. With the park that you're talking about, that's all residential. Like it's facing all these homes. So, okay.
Last time I was there, you had dealerships, you had stores next to Paseo de Cahuenga. There's a lot of that nature. No, not residential.
The park he's talking about is almost all the way to Barham. Keep in mind.
Oh, okay. Send me the address to that, Richard, so I can take a look at that on Google Maps or drive by it and take a look, and I'll forward it to Lorraine and Jessica.
Hey, Lisa, it's 3400 Cahuenga Boulevard, Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yep.
Cahuenga Park, sorry, El Paseo de Cahuenga Park, and that is 3400 Cahuenga Boulevard West.
Right before you get to Oakshire, on Cahuenga West. Okay, I got you. Oh my. Yes, Connie, one last time.
I just wanted to say about the Hollywood Bowl Park and Ride. The 21 tents in my neighborhood are constantly breaking into our cars. So if you have Hollywood Bowl parking next to any homeless, you're gonna be hearing from a lot of people whose cars were broken into while they were enjoying a concert.
Okay.
Lisa, Patty Kirby wanted to say something.
Yes, Patty, go ahead.
Thank you. That leads Connie right into what I was thinking. So say Hollywood Bowl opens in April. Who's going to clean up the lot and keep it clean for the park and ride guests? So the money's going to be spent for that. Why not spend it now?
Well, Sheila Kuehl's office is, because I'm going to hold her office accountable to this. So having said that, thank you for that, Patty, and everyone. I think we need to have a game plan, and I need for everyone to stick to that game plan. So however that is going to come together, we're going to make that happen. I appreciate Jessica Fugate being here. If you want to have a minute to say something, Jessica, did you want to add something?
Just that I'm glad that you guys put this together, and I had noticed this parking lot becoming a particular problem a while back ago, and
that's right,
a month, but we were able to get a hold of the county and get meetings together to get this moving. So this is something that I had worked on for months, that I'm, finally getting to see come to fruition. So I'm very happy about that, because it will essentially address the problems that we've had with that particular lot once we operate the safe parking portion of it, because it will address the issue of safety and unsightliness. But I also want to make it clear to people, because there is unfortunately a lot of jurisdictional issues that people aren't aware of, where there's fencing and you're along the highway, that is not the county or the city, that is Caltrans, that is the state. So all the trash that you see along the highway portion is the state, and the state is not doing cleanups. So I want to make that clear with people. So if they do see that, that's who you contact. Well, they've already been contacted, but just to make people aware.
Okay, great. Thank you. And with along the highway that you're speaking of, that's Adrin's jurisdiction, correct? Right. Right. Okay. And Jessica, you and I have driven by this lot how many years now together? I think since when you started back years ago.
And it's been a while. Yeah. Yeah.
So as has Jeffrey Izetta, Adrian Asadurian, Cara Tarosian, everyone's toured this with me many, many times. So having said that, and here we are, 75% of this lot goes to Sheila Kuehl's office. So Sheila Kuehl needs to step it up. Otherwise, we're going to come barreling down the street with pitchforks. I digress, and I'm adding humor to it, but it is a very serious matter that we do need serious attention to. Jessica, we so appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking the punches, and I will speak to you soon. I will send you an email, and we will put a meeting together and keep this moving forward. Did you want to say some closing comments?
No, I just want to say that I'll be working with you, Lisa. I do have a meeting with, what's his name again? Kevin Duffner? Yeah, right. Kevin Duffner. So we do have a meeting tomorrow, and I'm sure that you'll be hearing from him, or I'm not sure if you'll be part of the meeting, but I'll let you know what happens with that. And as soon as I hear back from my colleagues, with the state and with the city regarding a joint cleanup of this area, I'll definitely update you on that as well.
Perfect. I'm so happy that Kevin Duffner is part of this conversation, because he's very serious and he seems to be taking action where it's needed. So I'm very happy about that. Lorraine, did you want to have any closing comments?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you putting this together and inviting us. Thank you, Jessica, also for sharing this so that we could, give our input on and information about our safe parking lot. I do want to reiterate, because I know that we are getting a lot of maybe opposition towards our safe parking lot, and I think a lot of it has to do with some misinformation that's out there. So we will not be building any kind of brick and mortar or even tiny homes type structure. The only thing that would be built on this lot would be fencing and a driveway gate. Everything else will just be, mobile modular, in the sense that, the vehicles that come in, and then possibly a trailer, like a hitch trailer, where we would park our security guard and the case manager, where they would be able to meet with their clients, but nothing more permanent than that. And again, it will only be there for 1 year and only in 25% of the lot.
Right. So most of the time, just want to put this out there, a neighborhood, stakeholders don't even notice a safe parking lot within their community, because it is so confined. There is a security guard there. There are porta potties. You do have to, I think it's an application that you have to fill out to be part of the program. So it's fully vetted. Most of the time they're like there, but you don't really know that they're there. But unfortunately with this situation, it's only 25% of the lot. So I don't know how that even looks like. I can't even picture it, because 75% of the lot is just going to be a free for all. And then the 25% is just going to have this fencing around it. So odd in itself. But again, thank you all so much. We're going to keep this conversation going and moving forward with this lot. And we're going to take some action to make some positive changes. So thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lorraine, Jessica Fugia. Good night. Moving on to number 6. So I'll read it, but I just want to say that it is postponed for reasons that I will explain after I read number 6. Presentation, discussion, and possible motion to a proposed project discussion for stakeholder input, demolition of auto repair bays, expanding the mini market, and constructing the addition of a drive-through Starbucks at the mobile gas station at 11001 Ventura Boulevard in Studio City, California, 91600. So this has come to land use before. We've all met Bruce Natanzi. He is the owner of this mobile gas station on the corner of Vineland and Ventura Boulevard. He also owns the mobile gas station on the corner of Vineland and Moore Park. And that's going through a major renovation right now. I think he's putting in somewhere around $3 million to renovate it. There's going to be a 7-Eleven there, gas station, and I think a car wash, if I'm not mistaken. So he takes pride in his properties that he owns, but he and I have been going back and forth about this drive-through. And I think my committee members do remember him when he did come and propose this Starbucks drive-through that we weren't a very big fan of. And I have told him many times, Studio City does not have any drive-throughs between Lankershim and where it ends west of Colorado Canyon. Right, so I just want to open this up to get your input, your feedback. Do you or do you not want a drive-through on this corner? We'll start with Barry Johnson. Unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So many of you know my job takes me all over the city of Los Angeles. Yes. And I can't tell you how many drive-through Starbucks I see in the morning drive time, rush hour, where there's a line protruding out of the property way down the street and really obstructing traffic. And if you want a local example, go to Burbank and Laurel Canyon. That's exactly what happens there. And it's just a nuisance. Now, we have a Starbucks at Vineland and Ventura in the Rel Shopping Center. Let the cars go in there, get out of your car, don't be lazy, and go buy your coffee. But Vineland and Ventura in the morning is like the last intersection practically in Studio City that we need a Starbucks drive-through. I mean, it's ludicrous to even imagine, but I'm telling you, it would only be bad. And
yes, that is, I have told him that, and that is the reason why he's not here, because it doesn't look good for him to.
And one last thing, I believe he would require a specific plan exception because Right. So that's really major. I don't know that we've ever granted a specific plan exception in my memory of this neighborhood council for 15 years.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you. Haley? Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself. Hallie. Start over.
There you go. Hi. Okay. I live on Vineland and south of the boulevard, and this is the first I've heard about it. Are you saying that he's wanting to put in a drive-through Starbucks on our corner?
Yes. At the mobile.
Well, I think that would be between that and the safe lot, as you're calling it, it's a catastrophe. It's ruining our neighborhood. I mean, our neighborhood right now is so littered with, and I feel for the homeless 100%. I understand their situation, and I'm going to go back to what we were talking about before. No one is saying anything about what they're going to do in relocating these people. Why are they waiting a year to put a plan together when they're going to have to do it anyways? Why not think about that now and help these people in a more positive way? I don't understand what's going on.
The time is expired.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. Ruth, did you have something? Okay. I'm going to open it up to my committee. Jesse, did you want to start? Do you have any comments, thoughts?
Hello?
Hang on. Sorry.
Oh,
go ahead, Ruth.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard the last comments there. I'm not to go back to that issue, but I can't get over the fact that you guys can't see that these are people that probably want their garbage picked up too. I talked to Jessica I came into meetings months and months and months ago, and finally just in January was able to get the trash cans by me emptied, and that was more than a year that they had not been emptied, and I was the one fighting to get them emptied. A lot of the people in that lot probably want their garbage emptied too, and it sounds like their county isn't willing to do a weekly trash service like everybody who lives in a house has. And if you guys had that, you guys would probably look like garbage too, like your house, if you had no garbage for a year. If you got there's a solution that happened in Texas where they had purple garbage bags and they distributed them to the homeless, so then the city could come and pick them up if they were closed it's still garbage. And you guys could do something like that. It wouldn't be that hard.
Thank you for that. And just so it is clear and understood, we are not advocating all of what we are expressing only for ourselves. We're not. We're absolutely thinking about everyone who is sitting in that garbage as well. It is a public hazard to all, not just for people who live in the area, but for the people who are actually living in it. So please understand that we are making sure that this is safe for everyone involved.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And you should try to invite them to these meetings. I see your invitation to stakeholders. I'm sure a lot of them would probably have some constructive comments to make and could contribute to a meaningful, productive solution.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'll definitely look into that. Jesse?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah. So the fact that he's not here and making his presentation obviously doesn't give that side of things much of an opportunity to be presented. But my inclination, of course, off the cuff, is that the community members who are involved and stakeholders who are immediately adjacent, and Barry and everyone else expressed some very, very serious concerns about this proposal that make a lot of sense.
Right, thank you. So just so it's clear, I have been telling him that this isn't going to be embraced fully by the community. That drive-throughs in Studio City are just not a go, especially on the corner of Vineland and Ventura Boulevard, along with the specific plan. So he wants to do something nice for the community. He wants to spend some money and make it beautiful. His words, not mine. And he wishes that the community would, with open arms, accept the proposal of a Starbucks. I keep telling him that it's just actually not feasible. So the fact that he's not here is because I said, well, because he kept pushing it, I said, well, come and hear it from the committee and the stakeholders. I'll put you on the agenda. I put him on the agenda. Then he phoned yesterday and said, what do you think? Should I? Is it a waste of my time? And so that's why we're here. Okay, just so everybody knows. But yes, okay. Adele, do you have any comments? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. This is actually the first time that I've heard about it. And
oh, you may have come in after.
I came in after, but just looking at, I know that that area, that corner pretty well. I go to that Walgreens on the opposite side. You know, I know also that drive-through up on Burbank and Coldwater. I would prefer, excuse me, isn't it? Laurel, I meant Laurel. I would prefer not to have a drive-through Starbucks when just right across the street there's a Starbucks, and you know, maybe he could do something more amenable to the neighborhood, a walk-up thing, a piece of greenery, a little park, you know, which is a big thing, a tree. You know, I mean, there's lots of things that he could do that would be more beneficial to the neighborhood, and not that does not sound like one of them. So.
All right. Thank you. Lana?
If Bruce is so eager to do something nice for the community, maybe he would like to do a little survey at our different meetings, at committee meetings or a neighborhood council meeting, and ask people to send in suggestions of what would be helpful to have there in our community within reason. You know, I kind of like what Adele said, some greenery might be nice, or an outdoor spot, you know, maybe where people could sit and I don't know, have their 7-Eleven coffee if they want. Didn't you say where is it, isn't that a part of what this piece is going to have, is the 7-Eleven, or is that the other one?
No, that's the other one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But I appreciate what you're saying, Lana, but I don't think it's our place to actually tell him how to spend his money.
Sure. I was
right.
just saying, if he were very eager, maybe he could ask for some input. But if he's asking to get an exception to the specific plan, I believe that is definitely the hardest uphill battle that he's going to face with his project.
Okay, thank you. Is Dean Cutler? I don't see him.
You know, I'm here.
Hi.
I'm just on, I'm not on video.
Thoughts?
You know, I generally don't, you know, drive-throughs are challenging. I agree with Barry. You can go all over the city and see where they are distracting traffic. We have many of examples in the community with In-N-Out Burger as well in Sherman Oaks. They're huge hazards, and in the same token, the pandemic has also pushed a lot more traffic into the drive-through arena for obvious reasons. So not saying none of us know where those habits are how those habits are gonna change as we come out of the pandemic. But you know, there's a convenience factor to it, and then there's a traffic and hazard portion to it. I don't see where the site, and I think he struggled with his site plan and didn't come back with an improvement. He wasn't willing, or it didn't appear that he was willing to make his queue lines sufficient to keep traffic off Vineland and or Ventura. I don't know that it's feasible, but that's where I thought we left off. And he's trying to cram a lot of improvements onto the site, and that is taking away from potential more cars being able to go on to the actual site itself. Some of the Chick-fil-A's that have appeared on Ventura Boulevard of late and around, they're bigger sites. They have double drive-through lanes, and they're servicing a lot more people faster, which is helping alleviate some of these conditions of overflow as such. But you know, I don't see how he can do it. So I'm definitely not in favor of something that's going to cause, you know, traffic and problems onto, you know, the street there at Vineland and or Ventura. So
All right, thank you.
Just some food for thought.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Richard? Ira, you're next.
Yeah, I'm not muted. Yeah, I'm looking at the whole project, and yes, he probably could make it physically work on his own property, but the offsite problem, it's just going to congest the neighborhood and possibly cause traffic accidents. So even if he can physically make it fit, I don't think it can fit in the neighborhood with the extra cars. If he wants us to have a little walk up, that's something else. If he wants to all of a sudden have service the new parking lot at the pension plan, wonderful, you know, have a little 4x8 booth selling coffee. I don't think that's what he wants to do though. But we don't have a vendor yet for him if the pension plan wants it. Anyway, so I'm not in favor of the as planned, even if it could fit physically, it's just not gonna fit, you know, practically into the neighborhood. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ira?
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out that the Ralph's over there just recently renovated their juice bar, and that Ralph's now has a Starbucks inside. So that would be the third Starbucks on the second corner, if he did decide to put that in.
Thank you for that. I did not know that Starbucks went into the Ralph's there. That shows you how much I grocery shop.
That's my Ralph's.
Mine too. I just don't go. All right. Thank you for that piece of information. Ruth, did you have something specific to say about the Starbucks drive-through? Okay. So I'm closing this conversation on the Starbucks. Moving on, unless anyone else has last minute comments. Okay. Thank you all for your thoughts and your comments. Number 7, again, postponed. They wanted to make some tweaks with their architects and make sure that they are within the specific plan that they are going up against. They will be here either in April to make a full presentation, or we might put together a special meeting ahead of our April land use meeting. So I'm just giving you a heads up that that might happen. And if it does, I will give you plenty of notice and not just 24 hours, okay? So moving on, 7 to number 8, presentation, discussion, and possible motion for the notice from the City of Los Angeles Department of Cannabis Regulation pursuant to LAMC 104.05 B1 This is a notice of PCN, and that stands for, I do know this. It stands for, I'll come back, it'll come back to me. It's a necessity type of situation. Requests for retail storefront commercial cannabis activity that were transmitted to the city clerk on March 2nd, 2021, which happens to be my birthday. And moving on to number A. I'm not sure if any of my committee members clicked onto the cannabis.lacity.org link to really understand what's going on here. But so under state and local law, businesses must have local authorization to engage in commercial cannabis activity. So there is a page that features a comprehensive list and a map of all cannabis businesses with temporary approvals or a license to sell medicinal or adult use cannabis and cannabis products. So I checked the map that shows the number of available licenses allowed by our community plan area. So at this time, there are 0 licenses available for the community plan that encompasses Sherman Oaks, Studio City, Cahuenga Pass, and Toluca Lake. So the retail cannabis license capacity is 9, with temporary approvals for authorized retail shops, dispensaries at 12 at the moment. So, and 0 non-PCN application slots that are available. But what they have done is, since there are no licenses that are being issued by the department at this time, owners of these dispensaries, or potential owners, I should say, of these dispensaries can ask the city council to approve their licenses due to, that's right, it's coming back to me, a public convenience necessity exception. I hope that's making sense. So one of them being number A, under number 8, High AF Studio City came to land use, I think almost a year and a half ago, where I told them that Studio City is saturated with dispensaries as it is. We have met our quota, and that we do not want any more dispensaries in Studio City. And no licenses are being issued. So they found their way through to a PCN application. Having made it very clear to them that SCNC does not want to support pot shops. So I think what we need to do at this time is we need to compose a letter with the SCNC to object these council files that they have filed their PCN under. So having said all that, I am going to go ahead and open it up for questions. And this applies to A, B, and C, by the way. So if you want to make a comment, blanket all 3. Okay. Barry Johnson.
Thanks. Yes, I think we have enough public convenience in Studio City and that 9 is what is allowed, and we should stick with that. And I think this maybe should be a motion to Paul Krikorian, since this is going, these 3 establishments are asking for an exception that the council would have to vote on. So I would think it would be a motion to Krikorian that our board, objects to any more establishments beyond the 9 that are legally allowed, something to that effect. But I would think that would be the person that your motion should go to, and unless there's also some sort of entity that these 3 establishments apply to, and in that case, copy them. So thank you.
Great idea. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else with a thought?
Well, I think that you covered it, Lisa, very nicely. Thank you.
Thank you. Ira, did you have a comment?
I did. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
I did. I'm in agreement with you completely, but I think also just kind of a devil's advocate kind of thing. Although I'm not in the commercial real estate side of things, I do know a lot of commercial realtors, and right now it's exceptionally difficult for building owners to lease out their properties. Things are sitting on the market for 6 months, even just before the pandemic. One of the top businesses that they're actually getting attention from are marijuana dispensary businesses. So on the one hand, I'm in complete agreement with the council about not allowing any more of these to be here. But I think if something comes across their desk in the future that might make it easier for commercial owners, commercial landlords, if we kind of close this loop, which I think we should, I think we should just keep in mind we should probably be a little more lenient when that comes about, to maybe give them a little more relief.
I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're saying.
Okay, sure. So commercial real estate, the commercial leases right now are really difficult to fill. They're sitting on the market, right? And I'm in agreement saying that I don't think that we should have any more of these in Studio City.
Right.
But being that it is really difficult, I am in real estate, so I'm kind of thinking along those lines. I feel for the commercial real estate owners who are having a real hard time leasing out their properties. And I don't know who owns that building and who owns these buildings where these businesses could potentially fill. But if a motion or something comes across comes to the attention of the council in the future, that might help these building owners fill their vacancies quicker, since it looks like we're closing this loophole and not allowing these companies to come in and fill these vacancies now. In the future, maybe we can be a little more lenient if something does come across our desk.
Okay, I hear what you're saying now, but there is a quota for the community, right? And we've reached that number. So even if we wanted to be lenient and help out these property owners, commercial business landlords, we just wouldn't be able to support it because we've met our quota.
Right. I'm not talking about being lenient in the future for allowing more dispensaries. I'm just talking about if something comes across the council's desk in the future in any capacity that would make it easier for these landlords to fill their vacancies. I think because we're not allowing exceptions today, I think it would be beneficial for those landlords in the future.
Yes, Randy.
Hi, Lisa. Yeah, thanks. I think there's first of all, this is referring to PCN IRA is applied for by the business owner, not the potential landlord who's trying to lease out a space. So this exception, I understand what you're saying, but this is really wholly related to the cannabis dispensary. So just as if a restaurant came to us and wanted to get a liquor license, for example, that's a separate issue from a landlord
Right.
entirely. And so that's perhaps there's a big difference there. And then other than that, I would just say, Lisa, I think you said it correctly. I think we have a ton of cannabis places here. And perhaps I'm prudish. I think a store name High AF is perhaps funny. It might sound, also seems wholly inappropriate to have. And as I recall, that wasn't that far from a school. The
Yeah,
site that
down
we
the
were proposing, down the street from
Harvard Raceway.
Coldwater, right? So I
Yes.
just think it's just bad all around, and I agree with Barry. We should put the letter together, send it to wherever we need to send it. So.
Right. Okay. Are we all in agreement on this? I'm going to go ahead and compose this letter with your help, Randy, and whoever else wants to pitch in with some of their thoughts, but email them to me and I'll put it all together. But Randy and I will work on the letter together and bring it to the neighborhood council next Wednesday. Adele, did you want to say something?
I just totally agree. It's one great example where, we have limits set on something and we just have to have the courage of our convictions of like, let's stick to our limits, and not because maybe it's going to help a landlord rent out of space. I would rather see us work towards getting some of these small businesses to bounce back after COVID, rather than putting the energy into a bunch of cannabis stores. So.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Lana.
Hi.
Hi.
So each one of these applicants for the PCN has an address associated with them. Are we to understand that these are potential places where they would be, or have they signed a lease? Do we know?
Probably a combination of both. I would go far as to say that they are probably operating at capacity right now. So we not only have to compose this letter, but we have to request and demand enforcement to start shutting them down.
Because one of the addresses, if I saw it correctly, would be would be near Mexicali in that Vaughn's shared parking area. Is that correct? Where the retail store Jana's is?
Yes.
Yes. So yes, I was just very curious to know if.
Yeah, they're up and down Ventura Boulevard. So yeah, Blazing Buds is 12159. So that's closer to Whitsett.
We just don't know if there is definitely a signed lease.
Does Dean have any insight on this?
Yeah, I will tell you that I'm not certain whether it's the front of that address or the rear of that property, but as it relates to either or, there's nothing operating presently. I can tell you that. Whether there's signed leases, I know in the past, the process has been, in my experience as well, because I deal with these situations, personally, in the course of my commercial real estate, so pretty familiar. Often they have to secure a lease and then present it to the cannabis board. And then what that's telling is that the owner, it's telling the cannabis board that they have secured a location and a lease. They have to get that first. Often they are paying on these leases and have the right to cancel if they don't get the actual license. But these leases are contingent upon getting the licenses, and often because of the stakes, the operator is willing to pay, the landlord up until and if they get the license and bear and take that risk.
Well,
But
whatever
I
it may
agree,
be.
we are, if 9 can become 12, what can 12 can become?
Oh, yeah. And the bottom line is there is no public convenience or necessity here. 9 is enough. Thank you. I think that's even a bit much.
And we also need to keep in mind Studio City is what, 8 square miles?
Not even
Not even
5 and a
8
half,
miles. So
5 and a
that,
half square miles.
and if we have 9 places, it's a little closer than all our CVSs we have. Thank you.
All right, so I'm glad you all feel the same way. I really appreciate your comments and your thoughts. Yes, Scott.
Just one more point. It's kind of ironic that these dispensaries were considered essential services throughout the pandemic. I don't know if that's
Right.
them any leverage in increasing the quota, and so that's something to think about. Also, not that long ago, I think it was the end of 2019 or early 2020, dozens and dozens of illegal dispensaries were shut down in LA. And I was wondering if anyone knows if LA has gotten a handle on the ones that were operating outside of the law. That's all I got.
No, unfortunately, everyone has the COVID to thank for that. Yes, go ahead, Adele.
I do know that right before COVID, they shut down a lot of illegal dispensaries all around town.
Right.
Yeah, because I just happened to notice that.
And I think we had a few here.
Just driving by. No.
Yeah, actually, I don't actually. Yeah.
And there were a few on that list that were in Studio City, I believe, because I was, my tenure with the council goes back kind of far. So,
Right. Anyone else? Let me see. Scott, you already asked your question. One last time, Ruth, do you have anything to say in regards to the PCN items on the agenda?
Hi, thank you. Was it Randy earlier that you said that there was like a shooting at the park and ride over a weed deal?
Ruth, we're
Maybe
just
they do need
discussing
another one.
Number 8 item on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I was saying that the park and ride had a shooting over like weed being not available. So maybe there needs to be another cannabis dispensary.
Okay,
I didn't know about that shooting. I was just going off of what he said.
All right, I'll go ahead and notate that comment. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to comments from members, subject matters within the committee's jurisdiction. Anyone with any comments? No? Any thoughts about anything that has to do with Studio City? I hope you're all going to get online and ask for your ballot to vote. That opens, I think, on Friday, the 12th, and goes through May. So tell your friends, tell your family members, go ahead and do that. We would really appreciate it for those who are running. Aside from that, I want to remain optimistic in regard to this park and ride lot because I really need for it to be cleaned up. And that's a nice way of saying it needs to get done. Lana, did you have a comment?
I would like to ask that our land use committee consider any needs they might have for funding of any specific projects or communications that they would like to send out. The budget committee is seeking each committee input in helping with finalizing the remaining portions of our budget and where it will be spent before we wrap up our year. So,
Well, do you want to go ahead and take 2 minutes and just tell everyone my pitch to the budget committee on Monday night? Now that Lorraine and Jessica are gone off the panel, we're gonna actually like put that out there and maybe just let it be known.
well, sure. Lisa came to the budget committee on Monday night and had a proposal to request the hiring of a private sanitation company to make regular services to the areas that needed the cleanup, specifically the county lot at the top of the list. And the budget committee's purview is only going to be examining the request for the funds. So we really needed to have the amount of the funds that would be requested. And at this time, we did not have, a monetary amount to consider and to vote on. So with the time that's remaining, we hope to have more of a plan, a formal proposal with a specific range of funds from this service to consider to address.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So my thought is that we're going to try and hold, like I said, during our conversation with Jessica and Lorraine, to hold Sheila Kuehl's office accountable for this cleanup. Plan B, I thought, since we do have some money in our budget, and if we are to spend it as opposed to having it roll over, depending on the amount that's going to roll over to the new fiscal year that's coming up, that we could take a portion of that and have that in hand and go to Councilman Krikorian's office, Adrienne Nazarian's office, Sheila Kuehl's office, and do a matching type of proposal. Now, what that's going to look like is I'm going to have someone look over the service agreement. Next step is going to be to set up a meeting with Randy and me, and most likely Lana and a few other people during a conference Zoom call with Clean Harbors is the company, to discuss our needs and see what kind of a price plan that they can put together. Even if we don't use it for this park and ride lot, I think we should establish a relationship and some way, somehow get them to be available to us should we need it in the future.
And one thing to be very clear about is that there are some restrictions that go along with the neighborhood council entering into any kind of contract.
Right.
So we need to be mindful when we discuss things like a service contract. So
Okay.
it might be that it would be in the form of a grant to a nonprofit portion, or if it's a matching funds with the council.
Right.
There's some discussion to make it work as we need it, but we just want to be able to follow along the proper guidelines. And to echo one of the ideas that actually Ruth had proposed to us, I had written this down earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't mention it then, but I wondered if something along these lines of working with a nonprofit would be to provide just boxes of heavy duty trash bags to be distributed. Is there something that simple that would help the folks living in their vehicles or their tents, if they would be obliged to using supplies like that. And if it could be designated, or, once the trash bins are there, how can we work in concert with what we have and any funds that we might have that could support that? I'll offer that
Sure.
for discussion later. Thanks.
Another thought was, I called the mayor's office to suggest that park and ride lot to become a vaccination site. And the answer that I got after going back and forth with it was that they might be open for it to be possibly, depending on, because so many people have their hands in this lot, right? Like one portion is Caltrans, the other portion is Adrin, and then it's Krikorian, and it's Sheila Kuehl. Anyway, that they might be open to the possibility of bringing in a mobile vaccine station. So that's in the queue, trying to see how we can go ahead and get this cleanup going. There's also the Profit Rediscover Studios City East, the nonprofit, to possibly partner with them, the forgotten end of Ventura Boulevard. See if we can get those trash bags going or the containers going some way, somehow. So it's a working collaborative effort that's going to need attention from all of us going forward. And I just want to thank everyone. I bring it up every month. I'm sure you guys are just like, okay, enough with the parking lot ride that already. But it's unsightly and it's unacceptable for us to be a city the size that we are, and this neighborhood to be what it is, and to have this going on. It's just unacceptable. So having said that, any additional thoughts from anyone before we say goodnight? No? Let me look one last time. All right, appreciate it, everyone. Have a good night, and we will speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.